Hello, hello. And yes, I am here again live. Again, let's check that phone and make sure everything is okay. Yes, hello, everyone. Can you believe it? It's another Wednesday. Time for another fabulous, or at least I hope it's fabulous. Janome Canada Facebook Live, Janome Sewing Machines Facebook Live. This also streams live to the Janome Canada YouTube channel and Janome America YouTube channel. So no matter what platform you're on, we always try to share the Janome love. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm back here from my palatial estate in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada, about 2 hours north of Toronto. And what am I going to share with you today? Well, you know, we're always talking about more. Our Janome machines already come with so many pressure feed and accessories, but there's always more to help you with whatever kind of sewing that you would like to do. And specifically, we all got onto the tote bag making and those thicker layers, you know, now with it beautiful weather out, oh, maybe it's time to repair that barbecue cover, or maybe you want to do some slip covers for your outdoor furniture. So how can we do this with those thicker, heavier layers? So I will show you. So let's flip around here. Ooh, and show you what I will present today on my fabulous Skyline S7 AE. But this pressure foot that I'm going to share with you today will fit any high shank 9mm, which are all high shank, or high shank 7mm. So the Skyline S3, for example, the original S3 and the S3 AE Anniversary Edition, they are high shank 7mm machines. And this presser foot will work with those too. So it just has to be a high shank machine, and you will use it. Now, what it is, I'm just gonna keep you more in suspense. So, you know, when we're doing things like piping, we can either make our own piping or we can purchase piping. And Janome has a number of piping feet now. This is our regular piping foot that has, again, the grooves. One grooves will help you make the piping. The other groove will help you install it. And I always recommend, again, you take your filler, you take your foot to the craft store, and will that filler work in that groove? And yes, in this case, it works beautifully. So that's our regular piping foot, or now we have a narrow piping foot, a smaller groove, so you can use smaller cords. So these work wonderfully for piping. And when I have on my little shaving bag here, again, that little accent of piping, it could be on tote bags, it could be, again, your barbecue cover, your seat cushions, garments. Certainly that's where that narrow piping foot would be great for garments. So that works out really well. But what about this kind of more like the home deck trim, that it has this beautiful braid? Maybe you want to put this around a cushion for your sofa or your bedding, or maybe you want to trim like a bed skirt with this, but this chunky rope will not work in the piping foot. So then maybe we would use our zipper foot, and we would put the needle, there is my, oops, there is my zipper foot. We would put the needle right up to, in this case, the right of my foot, and then I could sew really close to that tape. So that would work in a pinch. We could use our zipper foot for these thicker, chunkier pipings. Look at this with that vinyl and this big, chunky cord. What I love, some of this cord I get from the hardware store. Just don't go to the craft store all the time. The hardware store, this is where it's basically clothesline or rope that, you know, you'd tie something up with. Instead, I use it as filler. Look at that big chunky piping. This would be great for, again, that barbecue cover, boat cover, maybe the outdoor cushions on your patio. And again, with that vinyl is great for the outdoor weather, but you know that vinyl can be difficult to feed sometimes with your regular presser foot. So enter, ta-da, the Janome HD roller foot. Now, as you can imagine, HD stands for heavy duty. Roller foot, because yes, this doesn't look like a traditional presser foot, but look, that wheel spins. So it's actually going to roll the fabric through. It's going to help with the feed dogs. It's going to help feed all those thicker, stickier layers through. It comes in a blister pack, an HD roller foot. And again, it is for 9mm and high speed. So this works great on the HD9 1600p and 7mm high shank. So that's the only important thing. Is doesn't matter the width of the needle plate here, it just has to be a high shank machine. Now, as always, full instructions in the blister pack, and it suggests, for yes, leather, vinyl, cork, that weird sticky kind of fabric. That's not really fabric, but very dense, and it works beautifully. So more instructions. Oops, let's open this up. More instructions here in the blister pack, exactly how you're going to adjust this foot. Little tips and tricks. You see the foot right up against the needle, and then even here adjusting your presser foot pressure depending on which machine you have with the various gauges, or on my Skyline machines, again, it's auto presser foot, and they give us some suggestions here. So all of this is included in the blister pack. Now, this foot, again, very unusual, that we unscrew our regular foot holder, and then this is where it's going to attach here. Now, first we would attach this foot, again, onto the regular foot holder like this, and then tighten this screw up. I'm going to do this a little differently because we then would adjust these two screws on the back, and this positions this foot, to the left or to the right. And basically we want to line up this wheel with the feed dog. So depending on what your machine is, they're roughly all in around the same area, but still you can refine this exactly where you need to with these two screws. So first you attach your foot holder, then you can position with these two screws exactly where this wheel is in relation to your feed dog. And then this is so cool. Janome thinks of everything. There's this little screw head here. You just push on it and that opens the foot like a little hinge. It opens that wheel, so it gets it out of the way. Makes it much easier to attach that way. Now, I'm doing it this way. Again, normally you would attach it and then you would adjust those two screws at the back. But because I am tethered with a microphone and it's a little awkward for me to get to the back of my machine, I've already adjusted those two little screws. But normally you would, again, attach this and then adjust those two screws. Now, most of our Janome machines come with the little screwdriver here, but also in a blister pack from your Janome dealer. I really love these long-handled screwdrivers. They really give me, again, some extra torque, a little extra oomph to tighten that screw. So that is great. Then we swing this foot back into place. And again, if we need to refine, there are the two little screws on the back of the foot here that you would reach around your machine, walk around to the back of the machine, and position and tighten in relation, as I drop my foot then, in relation to the long feed dog. So that is all we need to do. All we need to do to adjust our foot. Again, it's in line with that long feed dog there. So when I'm stitching my thicker layers here, we can adjust the needle close to that wheel. So I have my zigzag needle plate on. So this way I'm going to position my needle however far I need to. So here on our Skyline S7 AE, I've got this beautiful LCD screen, and I just position my needle over. I'll try at 1.0. And where does it go? I'm just going to slightly rotate the balance wheel. Oh, that's about 1/8 of an inch away. I think I can go a little closer. So I can go all the way over to 0.0, And boom, that is much closer. That's beautiful. We don't want to get that needle too close to that wheel, but again, having it closer will definitely help. Now, since I am going to be stitching through thicker layers as well, make sure, and these dense layers like vinyl, leather, cork, they aren't traditional fabric. They're not woven, they're not knitted. They're very dense, so we can increase our stitch length. My regular is 2.4. I'm going to turn it up at least to a 3.0. The thicker my layers, the longer the stitch should be, and you'll have much better luck, much better results when you're stitching through all those thicker, dense layers with that longer stitch length. So when I'm sewing this along, you see that wheel move? Look at how easy that is. And I'm sewing on felt. It's actually about 1/8 of an inch thick. It is quite thick, but no problem at all with that HD roller foot. And again, that stitch is on 3.0. That still looks like a very small stitch to me. Look at that on the back. Beautiful. So I'm going to, it's all personal preference, but you know, I'm going to lengthen that. We'll try a 3.5. So you just experiment with the results you like, just your little scraps of fabric like this first. And you see how beautiful that works. And there we go. Make sure to cut your thread so it doesn't bunch up as I did. So there, that is exactly, that looks a little better, does it not? That looks better. Now, again, the instructions said about the presser foot pressure. So I can go into here. So here is my auto presser foot pressure. So I can either increase it, that I need more feeding power, basically. I need more pressure on that foot to have it feed more consistently, or maybe I need to drop it down so it would be negative. Maybe I need to drop it down so it will feed a little easier. So you just, again, experiment. But yes, isn't that beautiful? So easy. So yes, I think that worked out beautifully there, and that's at 3.5. Do you believe it? It doesn't look like such that long stitch through those thicker, denser, more dense layers. So again, when would we do this? Well, here is our piping. So I have my, again, just a strip of vinyl, or this could be fabric too. It doesn't have to be vinyl, but it works out so good where I just wrap my vinyl. In this case, I believe I cut it about 2 inches wide. This piping, this roller foot is good for piping about, they say 17 millimeters, which is about 5/8 of an inch. So big, chunky piping you can use with this HD roller foot. And then I'm just going to, I'm just going to put this on this way. And then again, I always like to make my piping, my cording longer so it's easier to pull through. And then again, line this all up and it'll be easier for you. You won't have a camera in front of you. But there, I can tuck this up as close as I can. So my needle, boom, is just going to hit right next to that cording. It works out so well. This wheel, it works so well. So this is how we can do our big chunky cording, piping for, again, barbecue covers, boat covers, your big tote bags, you know, garments, whatever you want to do, cushions, patio cushions. Great project to do for the summer. And again, how beautiful is that? Perfect. Look at that. And again, but that longer stitch definitely helps. Backside, Look at that beautiful stitching. That longer 3.5 stitch length really made a big difference. So that is beautiful. And again, just having that little wheel lined up with your feed dog. If you notice it's not feeding, it's probably because the wheel is not lined up with that feed dog. So you just adjust it again with these 2 screws there, no problem. So here is, I have this thick felt. Again, it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So no problem. Let's do 2 layers of it. I'll line it up. I'll do a 5/8 of an inch. Look at how easy that is. Again, your thicker layers. Now, because 2 layers here, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go up to, I'll do 4.0. And again, with thicker layers, maybe I need to lessen the auto presser foot lift here, or the auto presser foot pressure. I reduced it to -3 just to help it feed a little easier. You just experiment, do this on your little scraps first before your big project. But again, how easy is that? It works so beautifully. So boom, there is my stitch, my seam. And now when I go to fold these over, and then I can even now stitch down. I want to stitch down my seam allowances here. So I can use the mark on my bed of my sewing machine. There are marks along, I love on the Skyline machine, that there are marks etched into the bed of the sewing machine. So all I'm doing is aligning this edge over here. It's approximately 4 inches. And that is what's helping me do this perfectly even line of top stitching to top stitch down that seam allowance. So boom, is that not beautiful? Like, that's totally beautiful. And again, stitch down nice and secure. So that is great. Now, what I'll often do is I'll write myself these little cheat sheet notes. And in this sample here, I went down, or went up to 5.0 stitch length. So here is 4.0. It really doesn't look that long, does it? That's 5.0. That shows up a little better, and especially in that beautiful multicolor thread, bright color thread here. So I can increase to 5.0. And again, that's normally a long basting stitch in most fabric, but because of those dense layers, go ahead and lengthen your stitch. And then I reduce the presser foot pressure to -4. So I'll just do that, boom. And now sometimes as well, what I do, if you don't have a line on your patented needle plate here, you don't have a line on your sewing machine, maybe you don't have a cloth guide, although many of our machines do have an adjustable cloth guide. Instead, you can also use the green painter's tape. I use it so much in my sewing room. It is really quite indispensable. And I can use that as my guide as well. And again, will be so much easier for you without a camera in the way. But look at that, how beautiful. Like, I'm just going along, my needle is going right along that green painter's tape. So I know my top stitching is going to be nice and even. It works out, again, so beautifully, so easy because of that roll, because of that wheel. Boom. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Through that thick layers, but no problem with that HD roller foot. This is a project people are always excited to see when I show them. Inspiration is everywhere because I love butterflies. I saw this at the discount store. Can you believe? This is a bath mat, a shower mat that you would typically put in your tub so it doesn't, you don't fall, it doesn't move, it does, you know, it's very sticky. How am I going to sew this? Well, this HD roller foot, it's just simply a bath mat with this webbing. I first stitched on the webbing, Then I folded the bath mat in half and then just stitched down these side seams. That HD roller foot worked beautifully. All that, look at how thick that is. And that spongy, sticky layer, it didn't want to feed very easily with traditional presser feet. Even with my AccuFeed Flex foot, I still had a little bit of hesitation there. And it worked with the AccuFeed Flex foot. It was okay, but it definitely helped with the HD roller foot. It went through there no problem at all. So how about a bath mat? This is a perfect bag for the beach because of the slots in the bag. Then you throw in your sandals or the kids' play toys, you know, the little boat and the bucket and spade. You throw that here in your beach bag, and then you can just hose it all off. You dump it in the water, and all the water and the sand will go through. Super simple to do. And again, feeds so perfectly because of that HD roller foot. So again, that's on your thick, thick, thick layers. But again, for piping, again, I love piping. It's such a beautiful accent. Again, this little sample again, just a little accent of piping here on the shaving bag. It's just so simple to do, but it elevates your sewing into that, you know, designer category. So with regular fabric as well, then yes, I can do my piping. It doesn't have to always be those thick layers. In this case, I'm using this HD roller foot because of the thick, chunky piping. And again, I can position my needle exactly where I need it, right up against that cord. We don't actually want to sew through the cord. We just want to sew right next to it. Now, this is where I'm making the piping. We actually want to sew just a little bit. Oh, in which case my needle's a little too far over. We do want a little bit of daylight from the needle to the chunky piping, because then actually when we're making the piping, because then when I later encase this piping with fabric under it and on top of it, I want to move my needle a little bit more to the right so I catch that all those layers together, but I don't catch my piping. Make sure you, yes, drop the foot. I don't want to catch that cording, so we can move our needle, refine our needle where we need to be. Now in this case, I'm still on that 5.0 stitch length. I don't need such a long stitch because of this fabric composition. This is regular quilting cotton, but I could, oh, maybe I could move my needle over a little more. But then this, I'm just making the piping, so it's okay that I made a longer stitch length because this is just making the piping. So yes, again, it works out beautifully. So that I'll just cut off. And again, it's so much easier for you with no camera in the way. But yes, there is my cording, my piping. And then again, I could, when I layer these together, move my needle over just a little bit to the right. And then that encases it so beautifully. It looks so good. So yes, then when I do, whoops, again, you make all these little samples that here where I made my piping, and then again, now I've encased it in my 2 layers of vinyl. I have vinyl underneath, I have vinyl on top, and then again, I just sew. I've already sewn the seam, but I'll just re-sew it. Then this is where definitely I want to use that longer stitch length because of all those thick layers. I have 1 layer of vinyl here, 1 layer of vinyl with the piping, another layer of vinyl, and 1 layer of vinyl underneath. So there's 4 layers of this vinyl. This could be, again, leather, this could be cork, or those bath mats, anything kind of sticky. So again, isn't that beautiful? So first you make your piping and then you encase it in your 2 layers. And then again, if I want to do my top stitching, that I typically like doing it with my needle close to my tape. is how I do it. I could reverse it the other way too if that feeds better, but this feeds just beautifully because look at that wheel, the angle of that wheel. So even my big, thick, chunky piping can fit this way under that wheel because the wheel is angled. I could stitch it the other way too, but I find for some reason this is just easier for me doing it this way, more accurate, that I have the tape on this side. And look at that, I totally condensed all those layers. It works out so well. Beautiful, nice, even, beautiful. Look at that stitching. Nice, even, beautiful top stitching. You can't beat that. Again, that's that beautiful HD roller foot. Now there is this little, when we want to use our needle threader, though, again, remember there's this little button that I push and then that swings it out of the way. If you have a manual needle threader, as I do here with the Skyline S7AE, again, that way that wheel is out of the way. I can use my manual needle threader on my Continental M17 with my auto needle threader. Again, I swing that out of the way. The needle threader comes down and threads the needle, no problem at all. So just swing that wheel out of the way. Now, when I remove this foot, and you will see there's a little notch. It's detailed in the blister pack. There's a little notch. You see, like right there, there's a little notch. And then there's a little notch on the other side, directly opposite. That little notch. It recommends, if you use this foot all the time, every day, you put a little drop. This is good quality sewing machine oil. Get this from your Janome dealer. One little drop of oil in that little notch. I love these telescoping needle dispensers here. One little drop, boom, oil it for every use. And that just helps keep that wheel spinning. So again, full instructions in the blister pack, exactly where to do it, when to do it. And again, good quality sewing machine oil. Janome at one point even had their own branded Janome sewing machine oil. So you can get that from your Janome dealer. So this Janome HD roller foot. And very quickly, how will we find it? Well, of course, you go to your fabulous Janome dealer, but here you go to janome.com, janome.ca, and you type, you hit the accessories tab, and then boom, all the accessory categories here. There is a search box. So what are we searching for? We are searching for the HD roller foot. HD roller foot, and preferably spell it correctly, foot correctly. And then we'll see the search box comes up. It'll take a while because there is so much for it to search in the website. But then boom, there we go, HD roller foot. Click view product page. And then there we are. Look at that beautiful close-up. That's that little button that we hit on the top. It looks like a little screw that we just hit it, and then that opens the foot. And then again, compatibility. There is the part number, which, what did I do with my blister pack? But there is the part number, so you will easily see it on the website. And then when it says compatibility, all, again, 9mm machines and high shank 7mm machines. So again, Skyline S3, the 11,000 was a high shank 7mm machine. 6600 was was a high shank 7mm machine, I believe. So yes, you can double check with your Janome dealer. Again, all this information on the website. Perfect. You see right there, that needle so close to the foot. And again, that wheel has to be over one of the feed dogs. So that will help it feed very easily as well. So as always, wow, isn't that a whirlwind? Time goes by so quickly. I could just stay and sew all day. So regardless of the weather, as I say, let's just stay inside and sew. And it's so wonderful that, again, there's always more available for whatever machine that you have. There's always more available for our Janome machines. Just double check with your dealer. There's the blister pack. There's the part number of the HD roller foot, again, for all high shank sewing machines, for 9mm and 7mm high shank machines. Works so well. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. I will see you all next week. Have a fabulous day.